competing against him.
Right.
Well, I'm not competing against anyone. I know, that's what I'm saying. Why am I here? Well, I'm glad you asked
Yes,
that.
you're here because you
I
want
am
to let
here.
the people know.
I'm here because I wanted to make sure that I participate in our democratic process. That's why I'm here. You know, but yes, I'm not. I'm running for the Irish Wood seat, re-election for the Irish Wood seat on our school board, and I'm running unopposed. So, as Mr. Reynolds, he and I was talking earlier, as alluded to, I managed to save a little money. Didn't have to purchase as many signs and all that good stuff. But I did purchase signs, and again, mainly because I want to make sure that people know that I am running again, and I don't take this for granted. I really don't. For those of you that don't know me, because I didn't introduce myself, Ben Gravely. I'm an educator. I've worked for the school system. I retired from Henry County after 34 years and continued to work 2 years in North Carolina, gave that up and worked in the city for 3 years part-time. So, I don't know, what is that, about 40 years in education? 40 years in education. I know a large percentage of this conversation tonight dealt with reversion. I'm not going to get into reversion because as a current board member, we have not made any decision whatsoever when it comes to the schools. We're waiting just like everybody else until this commission makes a decision. Once they make a decision, then we'll start having some conversations. So I want to put that rumor to rest. We have not made any decision about the schools in the city as of yet. So I say that because, we talk about, and you raised the question about one community. Again, I've worked in Henry County for many years, and I've worked in every area of Henry County. I mean, from the Laurel Park to Bassett to Collinsville to Carver to Ridgeway. I've been everywhere in all these schools. So I'm very familiar with every community of Henry County. And again, now having spent some time in the city, I'm familiar with the students in the city. I've been asked a number of times, what's the difference between the kids in the city and those of the county? What's the difference between the kids at Laurel Park and the kids at Bassett? And my response is, the only difference are the names. Kids are kids. I don't care where they are. Kids in the city expect a quality education just like those in the county. And it's our job, our duty to make sure that occurs. And that's why I initially ran for the school board, and that's why I'm running now, because I want to make sure that we do have a quality workforce. I want to make sure that our kids can compete with kids in Northern Virginia, kids in Eastern Virginia, kids in California. That's my goal. And so I'll be glad to take any questions that you have, but that's my introduction. Here again, I'm running on a poll, so I don't have to spend a whole lot of time here.
Okay. I want you to do one thing for us. I want you to give these people your resume. From the time I've got to know you, I want people to know exactly where you came from, how you got here, because a lot of people don't realize what you've been involved with when you say kids and how you know from the bottom up. I mean, because I remember you as a coach, a principal.
Right.
So a lot of people don't know that about you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I started out, that young man right there was one of my students. I'm aging myself, huh? One of my students. But as I mentioned earlier, I've been in every county. I started out in Irishburg down here. I transitioned from Irishburg Elementary to Axton Elementary. Left Axton Elementary, went to Carver High School. This was back in the early 80s. Carver High School as a coach. I coached every sport, every sport. Transitioned from Carver to Theodore Collinsville when it was a high school. Left Theodore Collinsville, went to Laurel Park when it was a high school. In administration. Left Laurel Park, went to Bassett as an administrator, high school. Left Bassett, went back to Laurel Park Middle School. So, and I graduated from Laurel Park when first we opened it up in '70. Graduated from Laurel Park. So, from a teacher, a coach, an administrator, I ran an alternative program. You name it. The only thing that I haven't done in education was to drive a school bus. And I said I'd never drive a school bus. But outside of that, I pretty much have done it. And we need bus drivers now if anybody's interested.
Are you retired?
But that's my resume for the most part.
Well, first of all, I don't know you that well. I've met you a few times during all this process, seen you at some meetings, but you have a stellar reputation from a lot of people who do know you in the community, and we appreciate all you do. I want to say I watched that school board meeting the other night, and I thought, man, am I glad I'm not on that board. That was a pretty tough meeting. But can you speak to directly? It's just a pandemic. I know it's been tough. Coming out of last year with the virtual learning, and it does, like we talked about the broadband, different things like that, some issues with that. But coming into this year, and I think I asked you kind of offhand, and we didn't have a good chance to really converse there because the meeting started. Did the kids kind of come into this year maybe a little behind? Was there some remedial things that needed to take place to get everybody back up to speed since they were at home? Can you just maybe speak to that?
Sure.
And then even the continuing pandemic stuff with the mask mandates. I know a lot of parents there were upset the other night about some of these things, and just how it's affecting the schools in general in Henry County.
Well, most definitely there was a learning loss. I would be naive to think that since we were on virtual for the entire year, that all the kids fully committed themselves to their education. It did not happen. So we are working right now on learning loss. One of the things that, and I mean, as a board, you can make a suggestion, but you got to get a majority to go along with you if anything is going to get done. All right. One of the things that was suggested, or I made a suggestion, is that we look at increasing the pay for some of our teachers, and not only, when I say increasing pay for remedial help, after school tutoring and these types of things, so that we can take care of some of the learning loss. And we did. As a board, we increased that pay so that we can get teachers to come in and remediate kids after school, because we know we need to. Teachers, yes, they are committed to the profession, but they have life after school as well. And so we needed to do something to attract them. And so we're continuing to work towards that learning loss. One of the other things that we are looking at is possibly down the road, we may have to do some extended school time. Here again, learning loss right now is very critical. We're working hard to, improve that, but we know that the kids are behind. They're behind. Here again, this is where I would make an appeal to our parent community, in that you need, if kids, if they're on virtual or if they have to go out due to maybe we have to quarantine kids, we still need that involvement. Parents need to make sure the kids are doing the work. The kids, you need to make sure you're doing your work. You know, teachers, it's tough now. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's tough now having to do some of the things due to COVID. Yes, the meeting was somewhat contentious, but that's okay. That's okay. My goal and our goal as a board, and I think I can speak, you know, for the board, we want to make sure we keep kids in school. And if it means wearing this mask, we wear the mask. If you want to know how I voted to wear the mask. And I'll vote again to wear the mask. We need to keep kids in school. We really do. I mean, we're talking about learning loss. Imagine what's going to happen if they're not in school. So we need to do what we need to do to keep them in school. And wearing the mask is part of it. I mean, you mentioned facts. I'm a factual man too. And all my research, and I listen to all the experts, and yes, it may be a piece of material, but it works. I'm sorry, it works. So my goal, again, is to keep kids in school. And if we have to wear a mask, we're going to wear a mask, you know.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad.
I have a question.